Hey everybody, today we're gonna look at another game, another great game I played. It's a 4v4 on dual field here. It's a 6,000 point game that goes up to 7,000 points, and I haven't played this very much since the start of the rebalancing project that they're doing. So when I came back I noticed that infantry rushes weren't really working, and what I planned to do on this map was just cap mid now. Since infantry rushes don't work anymore, I figured I might as well buy a lot of cheap tanks and a few expensive tanks, supported by a whole heck of a lot of anti-aircraft artillery and some BMP-2s for HDGM. Near the end I thought, what the heck, and I bought a few squads of infantry, some planes, and I also bought some of these blitz vehicles, as you've probably already seen. And now we're going to mid. Switch this onto my perspective. So now, with oops, too fast. If you caught onto that, what happened was that my transport helicopters took down a enemy command vehicle, and when you buy aircraft or transport helicopters with infantry inside them, always spend an extra point to get them with some sort of weapon so that they don't become useless the moment infantry come out. Now, the enemy here is trying to make a push to this forest to just kind of lock down the place. So what I decided to do is I wanted to pretty much switch my army to go this way. I originally wanted to set up in this forest right here, but I guess that wasn't an option anymore. So here comes the blitz infantry and here comes the tanks. What they have here is mainly just a really light force, actually. At the time I thought it was the deciding factor inside this battle. I mean, once they reach this location they're going to be pretty hard to push out, but looking back at it, it's mainly ABCs and these two Leopard 2s. Send in the blitz infantry now, and I started using them in moderation, so there's not that many blitz ABCs. Mainly using these tanks to actually do most of the damage, but the good thing is that the rockets do take out the Leopard 2s. That's what I was focusing right here. I wanted to take out these heavy tanks simply because they have so much armor in front of the 10 that I just couldn't deal with them with tanks. Over here my teammates just pretty much pounding their force over here. It's fairly light. They don't have very much that can oppose us, except for these challengers and a few heavy vehicles. The only real threat here was the Apache helicopters, and by a stroke of luck my Cub long-ranged anti-aircraft missile was able to fire on these. And okay, let's just pause this here. So helicopters, when they're fully veteraned out, these Apaches are worth 350 points. That means in total you can buy about 6 for your 2,000 points that you're playing with, and he buys 2 sets of these. And keep in mind that these are worth a fraction of the game's total amount, so however many we can take out of these, they're a priority for sure. So I bring my AT over here to pretty much just try to take down as many of these as we can, and we do take out one, which is good. But most of them are able to retreat. Over here, the enemy's pretty much destroyed, so I move my troops into this wood just to set up a defensive perimeter, just in case they want to swing from Alpha into the place. Over here, it looks like they're winning for sure. They have quite a lot of anti-tank and anti-infantry, but they really lack anti-aircraft. So the only thing I can really do on this side to help is to bring up my recon vehicle, and that's what I do. I was pretty much screaming at them to take out that comms vehicle there, but I don't know whether we're not they were just not listening or they couldn't just focus it. And pretty much if you look at the point totals, we are ahead by 1,000 right now, which is pretty good, pretty secure. And they decide to pull back to Charlie. So at the present, for some reason I can't zoom out anymore, but we have control of quite a lot of provinces on the map. We're zones on the map and they only have 2. They're getting a total of 4 points every 5 seconds, while we're getting, let's see, 3, 5, 6, 10 points. So we have the resource advantage, and he's in a really bad spot right here. For some reason he brings up these Jeep-based ATGM. He wants to... I don't really know what he's doing. I mean, these things cost slightly more than T-62s, so... Like, and they're also, you know, unarmored. I expect tanks to work better for what he's using them with. But pretty much they just become helicopter food soon enough. So he does pull them back, he loses a few in the process, but that's alright since we have a rather large point total. I have my single ABC going up, and I see these Apaches. Now, BMPs are actually pretty good with their autocannons against planes, but since it was already pretty damaged, it got taken out. At the moment, most of my forces inside the woods here, they're pretty banged up. Most of them are low on ammo, some of them are injured, so right now I'm just saving up points to buy a, well, first of all, a comms vehicle for Foxtrot, and secondly, a large supply plane just to refuel and resupply. And while this is happening, for some reason, he really wants to try and take out whatever is over here. So he keeps on charging those squads in, and you'll notice on the point total is we are pretty much still in the lead, but they're catching up with a 300 point gap between our 2 scores, which isn't that great. Moves up to these helicopters again. This would have been a great time to shoot them down, but sadly nobody had any AA at that point, so I bring up my single Cub long-range anti-air missile battery thing. But that takes time. I get my supply plane on the ground. I refit all of these troops. And you'll notice that there are 2 Challenger 2s actually hiding inside this forest here. And that's what I was going for. It's pretty much a free 400 point meal right there. And we have the place encircled, so I figured we might as well go for that. Now, this is exactly what you shouldn't do with your tanks, to just cluster up. The thing with rocket artillery is that as you get closer to it, it's more accurate on one spot, and therefore its actual usage is its actual effectiveness, not usage, is actually reduced because it can't hit as many troops if you spread them out, unlike it did over here where it obliterated the whole field. So take that into account when you're charging the opponent with rocket artillery. If they are firing on your troops, advance, because they can't exactly do as much. So right now, I know that there were some infantry inside this field, this forest, not field, along with some APCs. So I moved the scout vehicle up. I positioned most of my tanks on this side so that if there is infantry in here, they won't be able to fire on my tanks right away, and I bring what's the remaining infantry up on the side. That's the infantry squad. Also found out if you drag your mouse over unknown units, and as long as there's a bunch of them, it will show the unit's icon on the bottom, which is kind of strange. speed this up. So pretty much these tanks get routed by the helicopter, which is a good thing. Originally I was like, no, what are you doing? You're gonna scare him off, but he doesn't flee. He does get routed, which is for the best, because he fleets back into Alpha with his rear facing our tanks, and that's actually pretty much the only side we can hit with our tanks that barely have any AP power. So luckily we were able to actually engage them like that. Take out these two vehicles. They weren't worth that much, except for that AA. And over here, I asked them to pull back, so they actually finally did. They're holding off back at Delta. Tanks routes, we take them out. Eventually. And bam, that's two of his heaviest armored units out there. And once again, now the point total is a gap of about 600, so we've increased it by a little bit, but still not it's still not a comfortable cap. I originally wanted to push into Alpha and destroy the command vehicle here, but that single Challenger in the forest here stopped me. Now I originally thought this was the bulk of their force, but that single Challenger 2 with its really accurate and high-powered gun was able to take out most of my tanks over here. And you can see that almost every single shot it fired actually hit something and took it out. So that was not very fun. Now after this failed invasion over here, the point total swells back up. They're almost even with us now. We have a really small point advantage, but we still have some room to work with. I actually thought the match ended at 6,000 points at this point, so I thought, oh my god, no, we're gonna lose this by an inch pretty much. Just gonna speed this up because nothing much happens until the very end. So right here he moves up with some cavalry tanks and T-34s, taking on two starships. He does a fairly good job of it actually, but these tanks are still fairly expensive in mass, so I'm not really sure what happened to the point total there. I think it really stayed the same, judging by what I'm seeing here. Still, I'd call that a loss on our part, and I bring out some Tungustas and some T-62s, and pretty much my plan is to get them to Delta and assemble them north of Delta over here by this village here, and then push into Charlie. I just realized none of these villages actually have stores inside them. It's either factories or houses. I wonder where these people buy their food. Are there any stores in here? Nope, just office blocks. Now at the moment there's not really much going on. Slow this down to a crawl, because what I have to worry about here is that these Tungustas, let's take a look at them. They have a range of 3.5 kilometers, so it gives us a little bit of leeway to move around with, but still, those Apaches can come in and hit one of our units. Plus they go faster than the tanks, and there's no formation move in this game. So what I wanted to do was to pretty much keep them relatively close close enough so that if one goes down, the other one can fire, but far enough so that artillery can't devastate them. And I noticed that the Apache's over there, so I thought we're gonna get some flak over here. And it turns out that all that really happens is that this single tank destroyer vehicle decides to fire on these T-62s. So let's speed this up. Now I decided at this point there's no point in charging that tank destroyer. So I pull these back and I want to just get out of this range, range as fast as I can. Now he's dropping artillery on me, and like I said before, the closer you get to artillery, the less it can do, because it'll be so accurate at this point. If we keep going forward, there's no way he's going to hit us. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to do here. The Tungustos get bunched up by a little bit, but at this point I was mainly worrying about the artillery more than anything. And I get in close and I want to take those out. That's my main objective at this point. He brings up a few troops, still using these jeeps for some reason that I really don't get why anyone would use them. They cost 10 points, half of what my tanks cost, but they have just god-awful accuracy. Right here I'm just gonna scrap these artillery cannons since they cost a fair amount. Plus it'll just take him away from the game. I mean, he can't really buy any more at this point. So that's that. And at this point we've gone over the 6,000 mark. So I was quite confused, and then I realized that this game goes up to 7,000. So at this point, let's just see how many troops we can actually look at here. So we've got small amount here, small amount here. I can't really chase his command vehicle, just simply due to the risk of losing this game by an inch. So what I figured I'd do is to take out these FOBs, and there's no way to uncapture buildings, but I would have taken out these two as well, because the FOBs actually cost 100 points each, not 1,000. So that's a nice 2/10 of what we had to get to. So as soon as I take these two out, they'll give us a nice juicy point total of 8,000 or 800. Don't know why I'm shifting towards the word 1,000 for some reason. Originally I thought he found where those rocket artillery vehicles were, but no. But that's alright. Let's just speed this up to the end. He takes them out, and right now we're pretty much just standing around, but I think this artillery barrage or something, I want to figure out where his units are. Or does he even have any units? Yes, he does. He actually has quite a few. But eventually the game's over, and that's the score for today. Yeah, and I'll see you guys later. If you want, you can subscribe and like the video, but yeah, bye.